For too long, cryptids have gone unknown, unlocated, and worst of all, unrated. Well, that changes today. Hi, I'm Ella, and welcome to the Definitive Cryptid Ratings. So I've come up with 5 different categories to rate cryptids on. Let me walk you through them. So first up, we have stealth, which is arguably one of the most important features for a cryptid. How well can this cryptid hide? Next up is power. What dangers does this creature pose? What are its strengths and weaknesses? What can it get done? Next up, we have lore. What is this creature's deal? How long has it been around? How badass is its backstory? And of course, we can't rank cryptids without ranking how attractive they are. Is this creature hot? Is it pretty? Would I flirt with this cryptid? Finally, we have support. Could you befriend this cryptid? Share a drink with it? Would it come to your graduation? Would it drive your kids to school? Now, before we jump into the cryptids, I just want to reassure you guys a bit. Now, of course, I did a lot of research about cryptids for the preparation of this video, but if that's not enough for you, I have my dog Rosie right here, and she knows a lot about cryptids, so she'll correct me if I get anything wrong. Let's start with a classic, Mothman. Stealth. The irregularity at which Mothman has been spotted proves that he only comes out when he wants to, whether to steal a dog, orchestrate the collapse of a bridge, or, sell cocaine outside of a Denny's at 3 in the morning. Sure, there have been a few sightings, but none of them have been very detailed, and that's especially impressive considering the amount of fame and attention Mothman has received. Overall, Mothman is fairly stealthy, but could do a much better job, especially considering that he has wings. 6 out of 10. Power. Not only has it been said that Mothman can cause TV static, and is responsible for multiple dog disappearances, but he's also attributed an entire bridge collapse, killing 46 people in one fell swoop. Mothman is very efficient and very powerful, 8 out of 10. Lore. While Mothman is fairly new as far as cryptids go, with sightings only going back to the mid-60s, he has amassed quite a name for himself in that time. Not only has he gotten a book and a movie about him, this boy gets an entire festival. Plus, the headline from when he was first ever documented in a newspaper is, couple sees man-sized bird, ... creature, ... something. And that's very funny to me, so I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10 for lore. Attraction. Of course I would flirt with Mothman. Have you seen those wings? That tall, slender build? Those legs? Mothman is hot, no doubt about it. Plus, my friend Dana says that Mothman has the best cryptid ass, so that's an easy 8 out of 10. Support is one of Mothman's weakest links, I must admit. If anything, he's more like the burnout uncle that your parents never wanted you to grow up like. Sure, he might be fun to be around, and he can even be the life of the party, and he's not going to criticize you for your shortcomings, but when it comes to actually being there for you and being reliable, Mothman falls short. He's always going to prioritize his hedonistic desires over commitment and relationships. Mothman is selfish. There's no way around it. 3 out of 10. Overall, if you don't expect more from him than he can give, Mothman is a pretty damn good cryptid. 8 out of 10. Next up, we have Bigfoot. Stealth. Well, the whole thing that Bigfoot's really known for is leaving those big-ass footprints all over the place, and that's not exactly stealthy. Also, they're the most famous cryptid, and that's not exactly what you want as a cryptid. Although, maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. Maybe the greatest trick that Bigfoot has pulled was coming out for long enough to bring about all the hoaxes and the skepticisms and ensure that nobody would look for somebody so clearly fake. But then again, that really didn't work out because people still look for Bigfoot all the time, so 4 out of 10. That being said though, bears aren't really all that dangerous if you have any sort of weapon against them, and Bigfoot doesn't seem to have any specific powers that would make them stand out. But while they generally remain pretty uninterested in causing havoc, they are still pretty strong, so that's a 6 out of 10. Bigfoot has quite a strong history of lore. Pretty much every culture has folklore of large, wild humanoids. And Bigfoot has very much spread into common knowledge, into greater cultural significance, but almost so much so that the lore has been diluted and impossible to piece back together. There's still a lot. There are books, movies, video games, TV shows, stores, restaurants, pretty much anything you can think of dedicated to Bigfoot. So that's a 6 out of 10. Attraction. Now, I understand why some people would find Bigfoot hot, but they're not really personally my thing. Dana does say that they have the second best cryptid ass though, so I don't know. All in all, again, I don't think I would personally flirt with this cryptid, but I definitely understand the appeal. 5 out of 10. Support. I have no reason to believe that Bigfoot would flake on you. Sure, there have been a lot of Bigfoot hoaxes, but that's not their fault. That's all humans. From what I've seen, Bigfoot can be very friendly, supportive, and even domestic, and would make a great friend or life partner. 8 out of 10. All in all, while there's nothing particularly terrible about Bigfoot, there's nothing that really makes him stand out. If anything, Bigfoot is your standard middle-of-the-road cryptid, so 5 out of 10. And that brings us on to the Chupacabra. Stealth. Unlike the previous 2 cryptids, the Chupacabra is small and slick. It has the ability to hide in the forest or in the bushes and only come out to catch its prey. Besides, there seems to be a lot of ambiguity about what the Chupacabra actually looks like, meaning it has done a very good job of avoiding detection. 9 out of 10. Power. The Chupacabra is not very big and not very strong. It relies on stealth and swooping in to make the kill. It would not do well in a head-on fight. However, if the Chupacabra does get the drop on you, you're dead. It drains its victims of blood very efficiently. Still though, As long as you're aware of it, the Chupacabra would be pretty easy to beat in a fight, so 4 out of 10. Lore. There is very, very little Chupacabra lore, so I was gonna give it a fairly low score, but then I thought, maybe that's what a cryptid would want, maybe that's just the Chupacabra style, maybe it likes to be unknown. So 10 out of 10, just this once though. Attraction. I'm not very attracted to the Chupacabra. I don't think attraction is its strong style, honestly. That being said, I would still flirt with it, but only because that's the closest I could get to flirting with a vampire. 3 out of 10. Support. The Chupacabra would not make a very good friend. It's very much like the loner introvert type. I mean, I'm sure it has a great sense of humor, but I don't think either you or I are ever gonna get to hear its jokes. Overall, the Chupacabra is kind of a mixed bag. There are some pretty bad things about it, but there are some pretty good things about it too. When all is said and done, the Chupacabra knows who it is, and it does that quite well. 6 out of 10. Next up, we have the Jersey Devil, which I'm very excited for because I knew like nothing about him before I started making this video, but now he's like one of my favorite cryptids, so let me tell y'all why. While not his strongest suit, his stealth is not bad at all. He has wings and can hide very well in the sky and in high up locations. He has a very solid track record too. He has been known about for over 250 years, but there's only been a handful of major sightings. So that's a 7 out of 10. Power. This is a powerful man. He was totally fine when shot by a cannonball, and he has caused schools to close and workers to remain at home. Furthermore, as his name dictates, he has connections to demonic powers. And also, his wings, very strong. 9 out of 10. The lore for the Jersey Devil is fucking fantastic. I think it's my favorite part about him. Let's see. It has curses, it has very passive-aggressive anti-censorship battles, it has an epic rivalry with Ben Franklin that actually leads to Ben Franklin calling this one other guy a ghost for the rest of his life. It has Quaker gossip circles. It has revolutionary and monarchist sentiments, and so much more. Furthermore, Napoleon's brother himself has claimed to have a run-in with this man, so 10 out of 10 for lore, straight up. Attraction. I would flirt the hell out of the Jersey Devil, and I swear that pun wasn't purposeful when I first said it, but now I have to stick with it. What a handsome kangaroo wyvern man. He's dragon-esque, he's a cultured man, and those wings? 10 out of 10. Support. So a lot of the background for the lore involves loyalty. To be fair to the British monarchy, but that's the loyalty, and I'm sure he's grown a lot since then. So I'm sure he would make an amazing friend. Plus, he can fly, so he would never get stuck in traffic jams. 9 out of 10. All in all, I was very tempted to give the Jersey a perfect 10 out of 10, but I have to take a point off for being from Jersey, so 9 out of 10. Next up, we have another quite famous one, the Loch Ness Monster. Stealth. Just this year alone, Nessie has already been spotted 5 times. Although, to be fair, she is trapped in a lake and is very famous and has a lot of watchers, but still. Actually, now that I think about it more, maybe she is amazing at stealth. I mean, think about how many different tests and expeditions have been done just trying to find her, and she still hasn't been captured, so... yeah, actually I'm gonna give her a 7 out of 10. Power. Now, presumably Nessie could do quite a lot of damage with her tail or her fins, but this hasn't really ever been documented. And also, the way I see it, there are 2 major possibilities. Either she eats fish, which I'm pretty sure we would know about watching the fish populations of the lake, or what I think is much more likely is that she eats kelp, which, while it's pretty cool, it's not something I would exactly describe as being powerful. So 3 out of 10. Lore. The lore for Nessie is pretty weak, mostly because there's just not a lot of it. The only real highlight is that it might trace back to Scottish Kelpie lore, which is pretty dope, but still, I can only give her a 4 out of 10. Attraction. Nessie is definitely very cute. A pretty girl. I would flirt with her, but like, in the old lesbian pining way. You know, daydreaming about each other, sending letters back and forth, catching glimpses of each other's at the movies. 7 out of 10. Support. Nessie is definitely the caring aunt type. She would make a very good, supportive, and loyal friend. Sure, it might take her a while to get used to things changing, but she would genuinely work on it. 8 out of 10. Now, while she has her downsides, Nessie is definitely a fairly good and well-rounded cryptid. And she's definitely the friendliest cryptid around, so 7 out of 10. Ooh, here's another one I'm really excited about. The Jackalope. Stealth. All in all, I would say that the Jackalope is probably about as stealthy as a rabbit, and I have to say that they've done a very good job of remaining hidden despite pop culture significance. My guess would be is that they hide amongst jackrabbits, but they gotta keep those antler hidden somehow, and they've done a very good job of that. 9 out of 10. Power. As far as power is concerned, I mean, they're mostly just a hair. I mean, they have very powerful legs and very powerful antlers, but not much other than that. However, they have also been said to be able to imitate human voices, which is very powerful, but they don't really use it for evil, so that's pretty cool. 5 out of 10 for power. Lore. Believe it or not, the lore for the Jackalope is pretty solid, and it actually goes all the way back to the Persian Empire in the 6th century. Unfortunately, they have been kind of commercialized, but what hasn't been these days? 7 out of 10. Attraction. I think the jackalope is very, very cute, but more in a pet way. I'm not attracted to jackalopes by any means. But while I wouldn't flirt with the jackalope, I would definitely friend flirt with the jackalope, so 4 out of 10. Support. Just like the situation with attraction, I think the jackalope is loyal, but also in a pet way. If anything, you would really have to care after it, and it would take up your resources, which isn't bad if you want a friend, but it's not necessarily supportive. 4 out of 10. All in all, the jackalope is a very balanced cryptid and is a pretty dope concept in general. 7 out of 10. And last, but certainly not least, we have this lion with the head of a pigeon and the body of a pigeon. Stealth. Oh, very good. You know how many pigeons there are? Any one of those shady fuckers could be this dude. The lion pigeon does a very good job of hiding in plain sight. 10 out of 10. Power. Little has been said about any special powers the pigeon lion has, but you could definitely peck your eyes out if you're not careful. It would get close to you and then strike and you wouldn't even know what happened. Still though, I feel like she probably gets most of her food through trickery and theft, so 4 out of 10. Lore. Very little has been said about this cryptid, and while I'm sure she likes it this way, due to her general aesthetic, I can't really give her the same benefit of the doubt as I can to the Chupacabra. She probably lives in NYC if I had to guess. Seems like a New Yorker. 3 out of 10. Attraction. While I personally wouldn't flirt with a pigeon, I think it's been proven before that many people would disagree with me on that one. And while I think I would never know if a specific pigeon is her due to her superb stealth, if I did happen to know somehow, I think I would flirt with her. 7 out of 10. Support. Well, we've already established that she's a New York pigeon, so I don't think she has any time for your friendship or your bullshit. Though on the other hand, if wherever you're inviting her to has food, she'll probably come to that. Still though, 3 out of 10. I really wanted to give the scripted a higher overall ranking than this, but all in all, considering all the factors, I think I have to give her a 5 out of 10. But also, like, regardless of what I say, just know that this is my favorite cryptid. This is the best one. I mean, like, look, you can barely even see her behind me, so that's like a 10 out of 10 for stealth. And also, she has very sharp claws, so that's 10 out of 10 for power right there, too. And that's it. That's all the cryptids I got for you. Did you agree with me, disagree with me, or just want to tell me I'm cute? Leave me a comment below. And I know that this is my first, like, real video like this, but I have a lot more planned, so leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye, y'all.